still probably have a couple of people that are trying to make their way in, but we're going to get started. So I wanted to thank everyone for coming out this evening. We all understand the importance of family, and we're hoping and promising to make sure that this meeting tonight is efficient and as informative as we can make it. Before we get started, I just wanted to introduce a few people that are here with us tonight, and I'm going to take a few minutes for that. We're going to start off with our Commissioner Al Petracco. He's in the audience somewhere. Okay, he's over here in left-hand corner. We're going to move over to the Nutley Board of Education. We have Charlie Kaczynski. We have Lisa Danchek Martin. I believe she may not be here tonight, but we're going to recognize her because she is definitely one of the team. Sal Ferraro. Sal Valsamo. Ryan Klein. Brenda Sherman. Greg Scalera. Vice President Heather Russo. Myself, Ian Farnesad. Our Board Administrator, Karen Yates. We also have a former DOE member, John Capone. Where is he? Oh, there he is. We also have from the NEF, the President, Lorraine Kaczynski. And from the Nutley Schools, we have our Superintendent, Dr. Julie Glazer. Both of our Directors of Curriculum, Ken Bania and Janine Loconsolo. Our Director of Communication, Karen Greco. Our Washington Principal, Doug Jones. As well as our Middle School Principal, Tracy Egan. Our Assistant Band Director, Vincent Vicarello's in the back. From our technology, we have Andrew Levine and Ian Biemeister. And I heard a little rumor that there might be some Washington staff here. And our architect, Joe DeGara. Okay, so we're going to continue. So tonight, as we open the forum, the Nutley Board of Education felt it was important for the community to have an understanding of the challenges that have developed over the last 6 years, which brought us here tonight to discuss the potential renovation and construction projects at 4 of our district schools. The Nutley Board of Education has spent countless hours gathering information on the challenges that have arisen within the district, including a significant surge in student enrollment, a need to expand our buildings while virtually being landlocked within the township, and interpreting financial impacts that would direct any future expansion within the district. And as we all know, with these challenges also come opportunities, and the Board of Education wasted no time in capitalizing on some of those. 2 years ago, with the help of the Board of Commissioners, we were able to successfully secure the bike shop property, which many of you know is located adjacent to the middle school. The impact of acquiring that space truly provided the campus we would need to address the mounting concerns throughout the district. During this time, we also revisited and updated our original Department report, which indicated a potential new increase of about 500 additional students coming in district within the next 5 years. And as many of us are familiar, specifically Washington School, we had to add additional modular space, both here and at Yannickaw, to manage the recent overcrowding and space issues at both of those schools. The conceptual designs discussed tonight include the creation of additional space at 4 of our schools. Those schools include Yannickaw, Washington, John Walker Middle School, and Nutley High School. These are the schools most impacted with the overcrowding issue that we're seeing. We've deliberated over this for several years, balancing student needs with the financial impacts to the community and taxpayers. And we as a board feel that a responsible build to these 4 schools will help the district for decades to come. What began as a project in excess of $96 million was peeled back by prioritizing what we believe to be the most responsible, cost-efficient, sustainable, and most importantly, student-impactful, so we as a community can continue to build on the educational success not only of the last 6 years, but to reinforce our educational infrastructure for decades to come. Tonight, you're going to hear from our superintendent of schools, Dr. Julie Glazer, and her discussion will cover the space needs within our district, as well as what will help our students academically, socially, and emotionally. Next on the agenda, you'll hear from our architectural firm, DeCaro Marino, and they will explain the conceptual draft drawings of the 4 schools discussed amongst this board. And then Karen Yeamans, our business administrator, will walk you through the potential impacts and costs associated with conceptual designs. After the presentations, we have a lot of time for questions and answers and what I hope to be a robust discussion. It's important that questions and ideas are shared so that we, together as a community, can work to move forward. And now at this time, I'd like to introduce our superintendent of schools, Dr. Julie Glazer.
Coming out. This is our 3rd night, and actually there's some of you that have been with us all 3 nights, so I'm pretty impressed with that, and I thank you very much. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am to see, I think it's pretty much the entire staff here tonight, which is an incredible show of support, and we appreciate that. We want you to stay engaged in this process. Mostly, I would tell you that I'm excited to have the opportunity to talk to you tonight about these potential but very much needed construction projects. The time is now for the Nutley community to gather together and discuss the best ways to move our district forward. And I need your input. You know the community best. Many of you have heard me say in other meetings and even here at Washington that one of the first things that I noticed about the town of Nutley was the pride that the residents had for the town and for the history with it. Many, many families have been here for generations, and those of us that are a little bit newer love it here just as much. As your educational leader, I'm asking you tonight to help me understand your thoughts and views on the needs in the district. As Danny said, we understand people have families. Even though we are providing child care, we know people may have to leave early. So just a reminder, out on the tables, there are sign-in sheets. There's an opportunity for you to leave your phone number, your email address. We would love to have that information. You can join one of our action committees and give impact in a different way other than coming out to the town halls. There are also Post-it notes. So if you have a question that you can't stay to ask, you can absolutely do that. You'll see when you leave, there are frequently asked question sheets that also have an email place where you can send a question if you'll be too shy later to stand up and ask it. So we really do want your input. We really do want to hear your views and perspectives. As Danny said, in conjunction with the demographer's report that details the school overcrowding and an increase in the school-age population in Nutley, I think you're already aware of this, we have aging buildings, and sometimes the fact that the same building space usage is essentially shrinking due to our educational program requirements. When you or I were in school, there might have been the same number of kids, but there weren't basic skills and English language learning programs and resource and all of those wonderful things allow us to personalize instruction and individualize instruction, but it does take up our classroom space, takes up all of our available space. So the board and the administration have worked closely with the architects to bring you concepts that you'll see tonight, of course, for Washington, but also for Yanticott, the middle school, and the high school. We believe that we're sharing with you the very best solutions that we can, to address the overcrowding, to enhance academic rigor, and to maintain the neighborhood culture and walking community that's contributed not only to the charm of the town, but to stable home values. To simply articulate the reason we're here tonight is to discuss the projects that we, as a Nutley School District, are currently at educational capacity. And what that means is not the fire code occupancy that you see on the wall over there, but as I was saying, the available space for the effective delivery of instruction. Many of you already know, because you were here and living through it, that I had to add sections in August. We used the last 2 available classrooms in the district. By not adding on to our buildings, we face several realities. We remain overcrowded. It will only worsen as the enrollment projections continue to grow. Our class sizes will increase in every single elementary school. The trailers here and at Yantacaw remain as permanent structures, which was not the intent. And more trailers need to be added over time to house the additional students. And that could happen as soon as 2021 if the projections are correct. Additionally, the district has faced moderate redistricting, again here at Washington, also at Yantacaw and Spring Garden, and that's just to accommodate the elementary school students. Last year, as a walking district, we had 131 requests for students not to attend their home school for a whole variety of reasons. But I was forced to deny many of those requests for this year, and I will have to do the same for next year as well. We've already closed sections, class sections, here at Washington, also at Yantacaw and Lincoln. So any new students who are registering in the district, new families who are moving into Nutley, may have to attend a school other than their home school or their neighborhood school. And that would also have to continue with the increased class size. You have no idea how difficult it is to tell a family, and this has happened to me twice in the last 3 weeks, who just very excitedly closed on their new home and is ready to register their children, say at Lincoln School, and I have to tell them, I'm sorry, your children can't walk to school. We don't have space for both of them at Lincoln. You'll have to drive them to Spring Garden. Or then to face the parents at the Spring Garden PTO meeting when they ask me how much their class size is going to continue to rise. Dr. Glazer, we love welcoming the new families. The children are wonderful to have in our classrooms. But we were at 18 kids in a class a couple weeks ago. We're coming up on 20. How long is it until we have 23, 25? I can't answer that question. The numbers are going to continue to rise. I'm also going to tell you that we have parents who struggle to drive their children to 2 different schools. We try and help accommodate them with the extended day program, but again, that's a hardship that should not happen when you're living in a community with neighborhood schools. People say to me all the time, and I do mean all the time, will it really matter if there's 26 or 28 or 30 kids in a classroom? Yes, it does. It absolutely does, especially at kindergarten through 3rd grade. But beyond the instruction, think about the space. Think about just all of you sitting in here side by side. With 26 or 30 desks in a classroom, you lose that rug space that we just came to value with the new reading and writing workshop model. We lose the centers that we just learned how valuable they were for kids to have experiential learning. There's just no space for that when you have that many desks and that many kids in a room. Our academics will suffer. So, let's get to the proposed project so you can see what it is that we're bringing to you. The top priority of the Nutley Public Schools is to provide the very best education for our students. So, the first thing that we're proposing is supporting the move of all of our 6th graders out of the 5 elementary schools into the middle school, freeing up 3 to 4 classrooms in each elementary school and making the John Walker Middle School a true middle school, 6th grade through 8th grade. The middle school project includes, you can see some of the pictures up here, includes the addition of 20 classrooms, cafeteria and service kitchen, multi-purpose room, toilet facilities, a secure entrance, and the reconfiguration of the office wing. And that is the main office wing of the middle school, not the board offices. They remain in the basement unrenovated. There are many, many benefits to the middle school model. I think you've heard many of those over the last few years as we've moved to teaming. But just briefly, I'm going to remind you that with targeted instruction, which means teachers specializing in the content areas, the rigor of instruction is enhanced. Placing our 6th graders in the middle school allows them some more independence. Our teaming and advisory structure can be used to really focus on individual student needs and allows us to further personalize and individualize instruction for students. Additionally, our 6th graders identify a lot more with the 7th and 8th graders than they do with the elementary students. And from a human growth and development standpoint, they do a better job with kids that are more of their own age. Also, and importantly, our students would be exposed to a lot of areas of specialization at an earlier age, so they have an opportunity to explore and develop interests that might feed into them in high school. They're provided opportunities to use specialized facilities like the science labs, the robotics space, industrial arts and shop classes that they couldn't have access to in the elementary schools. I can keep going, but I'll tell you that more of the benefits are detailed on the frequently asked questions sheet and on the tab of the website that is dedicated to this project. At Yankaw, the expansion includes 6 classrooms, a multi-purpose room with a kitchen, additional toilet facilities, the relocation of the main office from the 2nd floor down to a secure entrance. In this case, the addition of the classrooms and the removal of the 6th grade will allow us to eliminate the trailers at Yankaw School. Here at Washington, see Washington up there? The expansion includes a 3-story addition, also of 6 classrooms, also toilet facilities and an elevator, allowing us to reach all of our students and also allowing us to eliminate the trailers here at Washington School. At the high school, and I don't know if you can see that picture, but that's a picture of our students having PE class in the hallway. At the high school, there's a critical need for additional physical education and multi-use space. In addition to that, a renovation of our media center and TV studio space. The current media center would be renovated, allowing us to create 4 additional classrooms and common learning areas, and a space for the PE. This is the level of overcrowding that we're experiencing all over the district and all of our schools. We have programming taking place, and you saw those pictures even here at Washington, taking place in undersized rooms, spaces that might not be the most conducive for learning. We're using every single available space, even those that weren't even initially designed for academic learning spaces. This board, previous administration and previous boards, the community, you've all been studying this and preparing for this. We've known it was coming. We've reached a point now where it's no longer coming. These students are already here. The issues are here. And before I turn everything over to our architects to look at the conceptual plans, while I have the microphone, I feel the need to say that if we don't do the proposed construction projects, if we continue to wait and see what the effect's going to be, the effect on our academic program and our educational reputation are going to cause your property values to go down an awful lot more than your taxes are going to go up. What we're asking you to do is to invest in the future of Nutley, to invest in your town. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Joe DeCaro from DeCaro Rubino Architects. Joe is going to be detailing the concept drawings and sharing them on the slides. We have to ask you to please not take photos or videos of the drawings. We've had an issue with that, and I'm sure you can appreciate the security concerns of even publishing proposed plans. So we do thank you for complying. The drawings are available in each of the schools as well as the board offices if you'd like to review them more in depth or see them more up close for yourself.
So taking pictures of Dr. Lee is the Thank you very much. It's wonderful to see the amount of people that have come out tonight. As Dr. Glazer said, we've been involved with the district for many years in developing plans, options, costs, give the Board of Education information so that they can start to make certain decisions. Over that time period, we come to a concept plan that we want to present tonight. The direction was to take the sixth grade population out of the elementary schools and move it to the middle school. In doing that, we had to accommodate approximately 20 classrooms, 17 classrooms for the housing of students, and 3 additional classrooms for special ed and other spaces. This is a graphic of the middle school. The white area depicted on the site plan is the existing building. Just to orientate everybody, this is Franklin Ave at the bottom. We have the main entrance in this location, the auditorium, the cafeteria, and the gymnasium in the back with access to parking off to this side. So in looking at this facility, we have to add basically almost a school. We're bringing the total sixth grade over, 20 classrooms, plus these other spaces that need to be accommodated for those students. That's a multi-purpose room / gym, cafeteria, and other spaces within that. So just graphically, the white is the existing, the yellow portion is the extension or the addition that we have to add. So we're adding a school within a school. I have too many clips. The first level indicates the addition. Now, what I'd like to start with too is we examined probably about 15 different options on how to add the 20 classrooms. We looked at adding building over this parking area in this location. We looked at actually adding a building on top of the existing building. We looked at adding structures off to the side. And at one point, we looked at adding a huge addition out to the front of the building along Franklin Ave. Right? A very dramatic proposal, but what we wanted to do was to examine every potential option on how to add classrooms to this facility. We did not want to leave any rock unturned for the information from the district to make the tough decisions. During that process, the town acquired the bicycle shop property on the left side of the building, as you're looking at it. That opened up a huge potential and different opportunities on how to add an addition in a cost-effective, concise manner. As you can imagine, building on top of an existing building to acquire the 20 classrooms is a tough endeavor, constructability-wise and cost-wise. So the opportunity taking this property was a tremendous benefit in how we could add to this facility. The lower level, this is the level where the existing board office is. And I'm kind of circling that space. It's a little hard to see from the back, but that's the existing board office. The main entrance is in this location. So what we did is off to the side, we ran a corridor, and we added classrooms with the various stairs and toilet facilities. The main level, if you look at, this is the entrance with the steps coming up to the platform to the entrance. What we've done is we've duplicated that entrance off to the left side, which would be the entrance to the new facility. So we have the access coming up, because you actually enter the first floor, basically a half a level up from the sidewalk. So we have all the ADA compliance and accessibility to the facility. And in this location, we renovated the existing administration area to provide the secure entrance, meeting all the security issues today when you build a new school. So it would meet up-to-date code requirements. So this would be a vestibule, lockable vestibule, the administration area where they come in, and then they get released to either go into the school or go down directly to the administration, the Board of Ed office. Okay. Now what we've done is, because of the population, we have to add a cafeteria to house those students, because the existing cafeteria would be large enough to house the incoming sixth grade. Plus it was a concept to keep the sixth grade semi-isolated, mix when you want it to, and flexibility. So we try to look carefully in terms of how we orientate and organize the school, not just sticking classrooms on one end, how it works. So we added an additional cafeteria that would be adjacent to the original one. As you continue up toward the site, we have an expanded kitchen and new receiving that was being received for the entire project. That would be your trash deliveries, your deliveries, all those elements tucked into this service drive along the left side of the addition. The upper level, along the side, we have classrooms like we did on the lower level. And then if you're familiar with the site, the grade along Franklin is lower than the top. You enter at one level, and then if you go up to the second floor, you're at the first level on that rear side, which would have access to the gym that you're familiar with. So what we would do on the second level, we have classrooms, and then to get toward the back of the building, you come out on grade, and that's where we would place the new multi-purpose room, with changing areas and access with toilets. What we've done is we've created that new lobby that would serve both the existing gym and the new gym, and it would be able to section off the remaining part of the building. So for rec, night activities, you can access the building in a secure way that you could shut the building off, still have access to toilets, things like that, that you can function, and it's a very organized plan. So if you look at the overall plan, and if we were going to design a new middle school for this size population, if you look at the organization of it, it would be very similar. We have circulation, we have the large areas where they need to be related to the students, and you also have organization around the building when you want to. You can kind of separate the buildings and keep them together as you wish. Question? Future architect, maybe? The answer, again, the white area on the plan is the existing. The yellow areas are where we're placing the additions. We have to based on the demographics report and the population projections, again, to solve the overcrowding conditions in the district-wide. We had to add 6 classrooms to the facility. So what we did is, if you're familiar with Nanticoke, there's a paved area here, playground area. We're relocating on this side and generally building a multi-purpose room here with a 6 classroom addition on the opposite side. The main level, what we're doing is we're providing a new entranceway with new security, and we're relocating the existing administration offices down to the lower level where it belongs at the main entrance. To the right of that, we have 2 classroom addition with the corridor extending out for any possible future additions 30 years from now. Okay? We're not painting anything, no closet, we're not painting anybody into a closet. So we have future flexibility. All the plans, we try to build future flexibility in. On the opposite side, we place the multi-purpose room, again, separate entrance, toilets, and we can close off the rest of the building for rec and after-hour use. The lower level, where we have the multi-purpose room, we converted that to a music room and an office, and eliminated the existing trailers. Right now, there are 3 trailers, and in this location where the trailers are, we're going to add additional macadams for outdoor play. The second and third level are basically the same footprint as below, so a very clean, concise, compact addition to accommodate the 6 classrooms and the auxiliary spaces. The site plan, we're all familiar with this, we're located right here in the auditorium. The multi-purpose rooms back here. The large block areas, the white areas, are where the new portable trailers are presently located. We looked at this, and again, we needed to add 6 classrooms. Over the course of that review, we looked at a lot of different opportunities and locations for the different additions. We looked at building over the existing space here, because all your buildings, all your sites are very tight. There's not a lot of room to construct. So so that did away with that, but you do have a structure there. So anywhere you're demolishing something to build something costs a lot more money. So in the course of the evaluation, and Dr. Glazer mentioned that it was up to almost $98 million, the district pared this down in the review and the evaluation of what was being presented tonight. So we looked at the most efficient location to put 6 classrooms on. And what we came up with, and this is the main parking area here, the main entrance, we came in over here. So at the end of this corridor is a stair tower. We would remove that and place a 2-classroom addition on that level. So you can see just based on the sheer size, and I'll go to the next plan, which shows in a little larger area. We added 2 classrooms and extended the stair tower again. So the amount of square footage that you're building are mostly classroom space. You're not building a lot of corridor or circulation space to get to those classrooms. They cost just as much as building a classroom. So we want to keep the square footage down as much as possible. We also have additional toilets that will be served all the corridors as well as for the students. And it will be kind of located here in a very concise manner. The other levels, the second and third level, are identical to that. And based on some of the classrooms that are adjacent, we have to make some slight modifications.
So we don't get a multi-purpose room? We don't get a new multi?
We'll have questions right after, so you can ask any and all questions, and I'll answer everything for you. The other building that we looked at was the high school. Again, needed additional capacity for students. Quick orientation, the Franklin Ave, the main entrance to the building by the auditorium, the gym, parking in the back, classroom wings here and here. On the upper level, if I can go all the way up. What we looked at, again, we looked at all the spaces within each facility, how it's utilized, the conditions. On the third level, there's the existing multimedia center, or old library. Unfortunately, that media center has a corridor that runs through it, because the students access this wing all the way through this. So there's a lot of wasted space and inefficient space. What we proposed was take that library out, or the media center out, and construct 4 classrooms within that space. Right? And those could be used for STEM labs, technology-related facilities, small group instruction, 4 small groups, to allow the teaching philosophy there, and what's called the maker space, which is a common area where students can break out of classrooms and use that area. And that would pick up additional capacity for the high school. In order to do that, you have to then relocate the media center, and that's being proposed to be built out along Franklin Avenue between the music wing and the gymnasium in front of the auditorium. We then looked at other possible ways of where you could add additional classrooms. During that period, we looked at building, because again, we're kind of right at the property lines. We looked at building over the section of this building. We looked at building over this section. We looked at ripping out the music area, rebuilding it. I even at one time suggested that we infill some of the courtyard in the high school, which I still have some holes in my back. Suggestion, so we eliminated that from the out. The other area that we found after kind of going through it and the dialogue back and forth, we saw that there was an area on the side, like just taking out the stair and extending the corridor, that you could put a 3-story addition in that kind of, and not kind of taking over the entire parking area. It's a very clean, concise way to put an addition. So what we did is we looked at it and said, well, we need to address the physical education. So we provided an area that's off of the locker rooms and the auxiliary gyms to create a multifaceted, multi-use 2 phys ed spaces that could be used for a variety of functions over the years to meet the program. We then wanted to develop a space that in the future, if you needed something this first level addition was capable to support a second and third level on top of it with relative ease. So we built in the location for the elevator, that if the district needs more space, they're gonna look back and say, 30 years ago, they did the right thing, and they made this the ability to add on. And that's what we wanted to do. So we developed those out. These are some photographs of some projects that we've worked on in the past in other districts. This shows the new concept of a STEAM lab that would be included. Some of the potential ways that we could handle the new gyms, multi-purpose rooms that we proposed. Again, some cafeterias. And then the new learning commons that would be in the middle of the high school as well as the media center. So with that, I'd like to introduce Karen Yeamans, who will go over the process.
Thank you, Joe. Good evening. In 2012, the Board of Education and the administration decided that the district needed to take a new direction. We could no longer look at just the current needs, but we needed to begin to plan for the future. That direction started with the development of the strategic plan. This plan has guided the academic and programming changes, communication, and the development of the district's annual budgets. One of the board's financial goals has been to look at the need for future capital projects while being mindful of the impact that these projects would have on the taxpayers of Nutley. The board has been diligently building its capital reserve fund, and the Board of Education is committing $2.4 million of those capital reserve funds to the project being presented this evening. This investment will reduce the total amount for bonding to $66.5 million. At this time, I'd like to do a review of each of the cost estimates for the projects. So again, at the middle school, this total project is $36.7 million and includes the 20 classrooms, the cafeteria and service kitchen, the multi-purpose room, toilet facilities, the secure entrance, and the reconfiguration of the main office wing. At Yanticott School, the project cost is $15.6 million. For the 6 classrooms, the multi-purpose room with a kitchen. This kitchen will allow the cafeteria to begin cooking right out of Yanticott School and service possibly spring gardening, which will then provide an ease at the high school for the preparation for the other 3 elementary schools, so the food can be prepared later in the day and be more fresh when it's delivered to the students here at Lincoln, Radcliffe, and at Washington. The toilet facilities, the relocation of the main office with the secure entrance, and the removal of the trailers. Here at Washington School, the project cost is $6.95 million, which includes the 3-story addition of the 6 classrooms, toilet facilities, the elevator, and again, the removal of the trailers. And lastly, at Nutley High School, the project cost is $8.95 million, which is the additional physical education multi-purpose space, the renovation of the media center and TV studio, producing 4 additional classrooms and the common learning areas, and the new media center developed to include the TV studio. The total cost of our projects is actually $68.9 million, with the district contributing $2.4 million from capital reserve. The total cost to bond is $66.5 million. What is the tax impact on the average homeowner? The average assessed value is $316,427. Again, that is on your assessed value of your home. The assessed value is assigned by the municipality and it is used to calculate the base for property taxes. This is different than your market value, which is the value that someone would offer you if you were going to be selling your home. So on that average assessed home, the estimated tax impact in the first year is $183.50. The board has the opportunity to split the bond sale into 2 sales to help ease the impact on the taxpayers. Since we don't need the entire $66 million in the first year, because the project will take time to build and payments will be paid out over time as the work is completed. We are anticipating the first bond sale to take place in March of 2018. These figures are based on an interest rate of about 4.31%. Again, I cannot emphasize enough, these are estimates. At this time, no one has a crystal ball. We don't know what the market is going to be in 2018. We are trying our best, working with our financial advisors, to give you a number that is as meaningful as we possibly can. This number is also based upon aid that we will receive from the Department of Education. The plans will be reviewed by the Department of Education once they are finalized by the Board of Ed. And at that point, they will come back to us and tell us how much we will get in what they call debt service aid. We are being very conservative with our estimate at this point of 10% aid on the entire project. We're hopeful that that number will be much larger. And at that point, once we have a better idea and the letter from the state telling us what we will receive, these numbers will be revised. And at this point, I'm going to turn things back to Dr. Glazer, who will go through the timeline. So, this doesn't happen overnight, as you can well imagine. Our hope for outcome is to continue with our town hall meetings. And I would also like to tell you that if you are a member of a community group, a neighborhood organization, actually any kind of group that you would like us to come and speak to, we are happy to do that. We've been saying that for the last 3 nights, and I actually am pretty happy to say we've already scheduled 3 or 4 more. So my dance card is filling up. It gives me something to do every night. So look around your communities, your neighborhoods, and see where we can come and tell you even more. And you can ask your questions that are specific to your own neighborhood or your own organization. We're going to continue to gather feedback through these town halls, those kind of community meetings. The board's going to continue with your feedback and input to refine the plans with the architects. Then, when we have all of those things together at a closed board meeting, closed session on February 13th, we'll come together to discuss what we've learned from the community, what we can see from the architects, to be able to refine those plans into something that we can finalize. The expected date for voting, if we're going to move forward, will be February 27th at the regular board meeting. Then, that's where all the fun begins. Then the town would need to move forward with a referendum for the bonding. As Karen said, $66.5 million. The first available date that the state would allow us to vote as a community is September 2017. It would be the end of September, I promise. We won't bring you back from the shore, do it over the summer or Labor Day. We'll wait for everybody. And then if that and when that, I'll say when, because it's really a need, passes, the idea would be for construction to begin in June 2018 with the expectation that students would be in new classroom spaces by September 2020. So moving relatively quickly. Before I open it up for questions, again, we are very mindful of the fact that sometimes people need to go. There is information out in the hall for you to take away, frequently asked questions, and an email address to send questions if you aren't allowed to stay, for your babysitters or other family needs. There's Post-it notes out there if you want to write a question. And are we going to go with the microphone, or are we going to hand it? Okay, so we're going to try and start. We'll see how this goes, because we know it's close quarters. There is a microphone up front. If people are interested in asking a question, we'd like you to please come to the microphone. The same way that we do with any board meeting, we're going to ask that you please keep your comments to about 2 minutes. And we will, Karen will continue to add to our pad over there, frequently asked asked questions. We'll continue to update those frequently asked questions and answers and post them on the website and to update those forms. So, we just have Joe, we have Karen, Jamie. All right. So, thank you, Karen, for going to take notes for us.
Are we ready for our questions?
I think we are. Your first question asker in the microphone.
Yeah.
My son goes to Washington. My daughter will start here next year. In looking at what's there,
Just need you to start again because we were talking up here. We're sorry.
I have a son who's in third grade at Washington and a daughter who will start kindergarten next year. In seeing what's there, one of the concerns I have being here is I look at a plan where the middle school is getting new cafeteria. I see multi-purpose rooms. I only see classrooms. And I coach rec now in town. I see our gym. I see where our kids in this school are eating lunch. I do not want for my kids and 30 years from now to create a have and have not in this town. If I'm going to sell my house and property values are something important with the schools, why would I buy if my kid goes, sending my kid to Washington, when I'm going to see gymnasiums, multi-purpose rooms, in another part of town? I think the staff here needs that. I'm a teacher. I don't know how the education teachers do much in that gym. And looking forward, I just know, how can I vote for something when what I look at it is, I'm going to be the have-not, and my children will be. When I look at that plan, and I know that the middle school needs a full school, and I'm fully supportive of that. But the amount of money, I'm getting a few classrooms, and my son will still be eating lunch in that cafeteria, if you want to call it that. Or the classroom, or here.
All right,
Thank you.
We're going to ask Joe DeCaro, our architect, to talk to you a little bit about the different options we looked at. I don't know if Danny wants to weigh in too, but sir, I want you to know that our original, when we took all the needs, right, every identified need that the board, previous administration has collected over a period of years, all of those needs added up to more than $100 million, and in the final, what we were willing to look at, $96 million, which was an untenable amount of money, as I'm sure you can understand. So as we looked at all of the options, as we looked at what were needs that we could actually fund and bond for, that's where our architects were able to come up with, how many? 30? Where did I lost it? 30, 40 different options for this? At least 30 or 40 different options that we waded through. So I'm going to let Joe just talk to you a little bit about Washington specifically.
As I mentioned, we looked at various options. And in the location, one of the key elements was to solve the overcrowding. I understand what you're saying. We did look at, as I mentioned, we looked at because of the land area.
No, they don't want those plans to publish.
Adjacent to the existing multi-purpose. As Dr. Glazer said, during the course of this, we presented a variety of options and cost estimates. It was 90, I think it was 96, 98 million. Again, it got pared down to meet just the overcrowded conditions to house the number of students that are coming in the district. The purpose of this meeting is to hear feedback from everyone, and then the board has to make some tough decisions in terms of what they're going to include, what they're not going to include. So it's a weighing this out. Yeah, the cost difference, when we looked at, we added a gym adjacent to the auditorium over the existing the old mechanical room. That was very expensive to demolish that. So with the 6 classroom addition and the multi-purpose room was $10.5 million.
Additionally.
No, total. So, $4 million, $4 million additional.
In that overall picture then, that's $183.50 that it would cost the taxpayer, how much, would I get that multi-purpose room for another $20 as an individual homeowner?
So we're doing math to try and figure it out, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, it won't be perfect, but they're gonna get close. So as I talked about, and everybody just, we're all gonna try to get an opportunity to speak. But one of the things that we've really tried to accomplish over the past 6 years, because this has definitely been something that has changed dramatically from where we started to where we are. One of the first things that I hope that everyone will recognize is that we're trying to build to the needs of making sure our students have classrooms first. When we start to add everything into that, and we start with that big number, we start peeling back, and we start thinking about how we're going to put a multi-purpose room into this layout and the challenges that come with that, we get to this $66 or $66.5 million number because of the additional cost that we need to put this multi-purpose room on. Now, part of the conversation tonight, again, is to get the feedback from all of you. We're going to look at that number, and then as a board, we're going to have to sit back and discuss as to whether or not we're going to have to change the dynamic of that number to make sure that we can support some of the concerns that are coming. This should definitely not be a confrontational opportunity. What it should be is us really trying to collaborate and figure out how to make sure we can make sure everyone is satisfied at the end of this. Our goal is not to make sure that our kids are not getting everything they need. We're not trying to strip them of anything, and that wasn't our intention from the beginning. We're trying to balance out a dollar amount with the amount of space that we can create. And again, as we have these conversations, this board is going to come back and we're going to sit down in the room again like we did over the past 6 years. And and if this is a true concern that we have to come up with a solution for, we're going to try to figure out a way to do that. But I just want to make sure we get all the feedback out now, because this is going to be an important piece for us to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the entire community. I don't want Washington to ever feel like they've done less than anyone else.
We always hold that. We're on the other side of the track.
We're working through that. We're working through that. Let's keep the communication going. Okay. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the conversation going, and let's keep moving forward.
Okay, so I have a few things here, but just to kind of pan off where he left off over here. You're saying that there's an issue with, you're doing this to add more classrooms, which rightfully so. Why is there a multi-purpose room going to Yanaqua? Yanaqua has less students than we do. We have children eating in their classrooms and eating in the gym right now, okay? Yanaqua, a good 60 to 70% of their school goes out to lunch every day. All of our children are in here eating lunch every day. We need a place to have these children eat. Our numbers keep going up. There's not enough room. There's no way. If you're talking about just classrooms, then why are you in a multi-purpose room? You're giving them $15.6 million. That's not necessary. That's number one. The other thing that is a big, big concern is our security entrance, which we don't have. Everybody else? But that's going to take place this summer. Okay.
It's not on our referendum, but it is on our capital improvement for this summer.
So that will take place.
Yes, it will.
Okay. That's good to know. Okay. So answer the question about Yanaqua, if you can. Why is it that that's happening and we have more children in our schools than they do, and we're getting less and less room? It's just not, doesn't make sense.
So I am not, remember how long I've been here, so the other side of I haven't heard that. And for me, I look at, I honestly am in every building, but my lens is slightly different. My lens is a whole Nutley, not a Washington or a.
Oh, I know that. It was
or a
just told to
Spring
us
Garden.
by-
I understand, and again, that's not my lens, okay? So as I come into this process, I have the tools in front of me of a demographer's report and community studies over the last 6 years. And I understand and I can hear your frustration for your kids and what this is doing and what that's doing. We literally looked at projections based on a formula from the professionals that we hired of what the numbers will out, the 6 classrooms in each school. From there, there are other formulas and projections. I need Joe for that to explain to you how that comes up. But you do, as this gentleman recognized, we're moving 300 kids out of the elementary schools to the middle school. We do need to be able to feed them and house them in spaces. All of your 6th graders are coming out of Washington School. They're also, so that's freeing up 3 to 4 classrooms right there, additional space. And even with the projections of students and the addition of 6 classrooms, less students. You have an opportunity, Mr. Jones, I don't know where, oh, there you are, an opportunity to do a different kind of lunch schedule, a different kind of schedule. But I want Joe to talk about how we come up with the space utilization.
Well, the way it's figured out is you take the existing number of classrooms that are used for basically overall occupancy. You look at the class size policy, whether it's 22, 19, 24. You take the population per grade level, not total population, but the population per grade level. Then you basically divide that into the class size policy, and that'll give you the number of sections per grade. Pre-K, K, first, second, third, fourth. Then you identify the spaces as classrooms. Then you also look at your program areas for art, music, earth science, anything else you want to have special education. So you come up with a number for your program, and you come up with a number for your population, how you solve your population. Each section will have a certain number of classrooms. That determines your size of your building and the requirements. Then you look at your lunch periods, your gym, the number of periods you have, and the population and the seating that would go into each one of those functions. And you can serve different things, 2 periods, 20, how long your lunch periods are, and that's how you determine the basic core elements and the size of your facility.
So it still doesn't make sense to me because if we have more children in our school than Yannicott does, and I'm just using them as a comparison right now, and we have more children that stay in as opposed to what they do. We're just a bigger facility in general. We don't have a kitchen. Their food is in a hot box. The food is horrible. It comes cold or it's not there. I mean, everybody's going to sit here and agree in regards to the food. Again, it didn't answer the question as to why are they getting a multi-purpose room and a full kitchen, and we can't even get a multi-purpose room, period.
So again, based on utilization, but as Danny said, this isn't an architectural decision. That's just the formula that's used. That's what we use to look at the usage and to build the budget. The final determination, as Danny said, comes down to looking at everything, and it will be a board decision and a community decision, right? And it has to be, you know, to do this, something has to get cut somewhere, or the decision has to be made to grow. And those are the reasons why we're doing these town halls and conversations to get that input.
Yeah, it should definitely be considered because it's a big thing for our school right now. Why are we exactly? Why are we getting cut as opposed to?
Why are we cut? Like, why are they have 15 million, you're getting the first school, we're getting 6.
It's not looking at, we're getting 6 and they're getting.
You did say you had to bring the numbers down.
From $96 million.
So 96 million, and you gave us 6, and they have 15.
Okay, hold on.
So, I understand. So I want to make sure that we're, number one, we're following so that everybody who would like to speak will come to a microphone or have a microphone to them. It's very difficult to hear and we want to make sure that this is a productive and friendly conversation. To be clear, everything is prioritized on the list. It's not, this is what Washington gets, or this is what Yannicott gets. This is the number of students, this is the number of spaces, this is the demographics. There is nothing that we're talking about or presenting that isn't just a concept at this point. There's nothing that is delineated or cut in that way. And I think that, I heard your frustration when you were talking about comments made previously. I can't overcome.
No, I understand that.
But I'm going to say, in my experience, my short experience, the board has spent a tremendous amount of time looking at this, studying it, trying to bring the best solutions forth for the whole community. If we didn't want to hear what you had to say, we wouldn't be doing this every night. So please have some confidence that the board is trying to address all the needs. Karen's writing down all of the comments, and I think that we've absolutely heard this, heard the cafeteria, heard the multi-purpose room, and hopefully we can move on to hear some other kinds of questions, comments, or concerns.
I just have one other question. Regarding the old boiler room and the boiler systems and what have you over there, why can't that be put into this referendum? And I understand it's a big expense, but over the course of these years, it's you know, like we were saying before, how much could that possibly add up to? Removing the items that are in there and removing all of that stuff, and again, I know it's a cost, but if you remove all of that, that picks up more space for us down the line to either put the multi-purpose room if we do not get that and that doesn't pass on this end, to do that. And then lastly, and you can answer it in any order you want, if this referendum doesn't pass, what is your next option? What happens if this does not go through and this does not pass? What happens? Because next year we have to come up with another classroom for next year, and we don't know how we're coming up with just one classroom because we're teaching in closets and in hallways as it is. So what do we do then?
I know you're telling me, as I said, and I did start here. If we continue to look or wait, or we don't consider this proposed construction as a real need, what happens is increased class sizes, keeping these trailers, adding additional trailers, making sure that not only are sections closed, but kids aren't at their neighborhood schools, the waivers have to be denied. It's an unpleasant situation. I don't believe, again, from listening to the community members, the charm of this town is in your neighborhoods, is in your schools, is in all of the things that you've created over time and tradition. So if it doesn't pass, we're in a reality of not what you've had up until now.
So I was just going to finish up one of the questions there, because I know we had touched upon the area where the decommissioned boiler is at this point. And that was actually one of the areas that we had looked at as far as doing the expansion on to add the additional space. And the architect probably had a couple comments to this as well. The area beneath there, which is the old coal bin, those areas have to be, everything has to be pulled out, it has to be backfilled. So there's a lot of things that have to be done to prepare the area to accept another building of that size. So when we look at those costs, that's one of the challenges. You know, we could take, if you look at the picture, we could take that section, those classrooms, and probably move them all the way around the building and find good spots for them. The problem is that when we try to put it on the ground that's underneath it, or the things that we're going to tamper with below that, we start to realize that we're going to get thermal stuff on certain areas. We're going to have a base that's not going to be able to accept that without further reinforcement. So when we look at this, and believe me, and I hear the frustration, and I hope that you can see it in my face that I hear the frustration. But we're trying to. This is a district-wide problem, and we not in any way, shape, or form did we feel that we were trying to shortchange anyone in this process. And again, this is something that this board's going to have to go back and we're going to have to really sit down. We're going to have to talk about, because again, trying to keep everything from a financial perspective in balance with what our needs are, we have to keep that comfort zone. Because if it gets too far away from us, the success in September is going to be dependent on what this final number looks like. Because it's not just our students. We have, you know, I don't know if Dr. Bills already mentioned this, but we have 50% or 60% of the population that have other concerns. It's not about the schools at this point. They're concerned about being taxed out of the community. So we have a big challenge here. And this is the reason why we didn't take a year and come on out and present. This is something that's been going on for 6 years. So I just want everyone to be mindful of that. The architect, I don't know if you wanted to make any comments on the
Yeah, my son and daughter are both in a class of roughly 23 students. And your plans call for 6 classes. And by moving the 6th graders, we're going to have an additional 4 classes. Are there any plans to try to reduce class sizes and use some of those resources for that?
Yes, that's the purpose.
Okay, and my next question real quick is, I think the projections for population growth were taken into consideration in the plans. I think with the 6 classes, putting in roughly 20 students, and the other 4, 20, I mean, it's roughly 200 students. I think the architect, I'm sorry, I don't recall your name, the architect mentioned that the plans were for 30-year population growth. We're going to use those 200 students in those classes much more sooner than the 30 years that you've calculated into your plans. Are we going to be revisiting this maybe 7, 8 years down the road, where we're going to need more space again?
So according to the demographer's report, and the formula he uses is actual students and actual homes, plus the available information that we have about any new construction or new properties that are being approved. So based on that, we have over the next 10 years, we're able to see what the population growth is. This isn't a bubble that's coming in now. This is a group of students who are growing up through our school system. And he was very confident, and I know that architects worked with the demographer's report to say that this is a solution for 15 or 20 years. The biggest thing that I've heard in all of these meetings and all of the community meetings is don't come back to us. Give us a solution that's going to be 15, 20, 30 years, because we can't afford for you to come back to us in 7 years. So we spent a lot of time and effort to make sure that we have the best information possible, that this is a long-term solution. And that based on the projections, number one, that we are adding enough classrooms for that long term, but number two, as Joe, that's the architect, detailed in the plans, as they've been developing all of these spaces, that there are flexible options, so that down the road, whatever we build is able to be added on to. I covered that too.
As the demographer's report is on, right?
Yeah, right this minute, because we just came to our attention actually, that there were 4 points. We took it down to take out those slides and we'll put it back.
So it should be up in tomorrow.
I don't really have, I see what the plan is, and I'm here to basically say, my son's in the 6th grade, he's in the trailer right now, my daughter is in the 3rd grade. I know something has to happen with the school, of course. Being in this school, since my son's in kindergarten, being involved in PTO for every year except 1, I have watched these teachers with a smile on their face work out of closets, work out of hallways, means that no one would really ask any teacher to do, and they come in every single day with a smile on their face, and they're proud. They're proud to be teachers at Washington School, and I'm proud to be a mom, and I'm proud to be on the PTO. And I would just wish that you would take one more look to see if there's any way that we can get our children out of the gym eating lunch, where they're afraid to finish their lunch because they don't have enough time. They don't have enough time.
I hope we're clapping for the teachers, always clap for the teachers. But I will say that with fewer students, your lunch schedule should look different. And that's what I was saying, and I lost Mr. Jones again. But that's one of the things that we're looking at in every building. You're facing having 10 extra classroom spaces, so an opportunity to do a different lunch schedule so kids don't feel that rush, so they don't have that issue. I'm not saying that you don't need a separate gym or cafeteria, but we are looking at it in other ways, including the schedule.
I would hate to see this not pass because there's angry parents. So I just want to say something because I don't want to be defensive against everybody, but the current situation that we're in, they don't have a proper lunchroom. So taking away 94 sixth graders, we've gone up at least 50 students each year. So next year, taking away 94 sixth graders is only 44 kids. 44 kids got to sub kindergarten in their classroom. They still don't have the space. So taking away the children doesn't help anything. And in 2 years from now, we'll probably be up 100 kids because we're going up 50 kids each year as it goes on. So it's not like we're projecting it to be bad. It's already bad. Like we watched our kids go from 30 minutes to 20 minutes and be rushed and feel rushed. And it's just, I know your lens is different than ours, but in our lens, we've had board members stand up and say, well, Spring Garden has a science lab that they can't get rid of, but you guys have to have art in your hallway. So in our lens, we've stood here for year after year watching everyone say, Spring Garden gets this. I bought a home and their home values are higher on Spring Garden's side than they are on ours because the school, they say, is better. We don't believe it and we don't want it to be that way, but I would hate for something like this to stand in the way of the 500 plus families that come to this school voting yes for this. So I feel like there needs to be something that makes everyone in this room and everyone in this school district just feel a little bit better about it because right now we're all left a little unsettled. Thank you.
I just wanted to add about the physical education. The gymnasium is a classroom, and so if we're adding classrooms because we need space, physical education is so important that it's state protected. The children have to have a certain amount of physical education every week, and it can't be pulled from phys ed for special resource classes and things. My son informs me that when he has gym, it's disappointing because it takes 15 minutes for the cafeteria to be cleaned up. So, 10 minutes of running around in the gym, and it's like not enough. So the gymnasium needs to be considered a classroom. If you're adding classrooms, you need to add gymnasium.
Hi, my name is John Capone, and I certainly sympathize with the job that the Board of Education has in trying to put a plan together that is going to be acceptable to our community. But as this young lady said, we definitely need parity between the elementary schools, or you're going to get a chunk of people that are not going to want to support this. And I think everyone here wants to support this plan. My question is, I think in everyone's mind, they see all this development going on throughout our town, and everyone knows that, some big project's going to be going on at the Roach property, and the answer would be, well, in the Nutley side, we're going to have the medical school, and, it's not going to have so much residential. But we also have maybe a 30 or 40 acre parcel on the end of Cathedral, where the old Roach parking lot was there. And then I read in the paper how, the state and federal government wants us the municipalities to put in more affordable housing. So I want to know where do our commissioners stand on this, and are they going to be more receptive to maybe lesser development because no one really wants to come back 10 years from now to expand streets.
Well, what I will tell you is that I can't speak for the commissioners, I know that. I know that the development that is going on in town that we're seeing and the uncertainty of what Hoffman Roche looks like and what that's going to look like 10, 15 years from now, I think that's a challenge for all of us because I don't know if the commissioners know exactly what that looks like. I know we don't know exactly what that looks like. But what I wanted to really focus on tonight is to make sure that us as a community, with all this uncertainty that's wrapping around this community, the one thing that we are certain of is we see what's happening here. This is the one thing, as we as board members and us as a community, we have some control here right now. That's going to be able to sustain some of the impacts that are going to be coming from what Roche eventually looks like and what some of the other developments going to look like. So when we calculated these numbers, we were very, very sensitive to the fact of our capacity. And then when I say capacity, I don't talk about Yannick, I'm not talking about Washington, I'm talking about addition, our student capacity throughout. This plan is going to help absorb a lot of what's going to be coming in the future. We have that set, we made sure of that. Now, is it perfect? No, because unfortunately, the longer it goes out, the more challenge we have with the demand on students. You know, we don't know that. I mean, the demographer said that to us. The further you go out, the less correct this projection gets, because it's just too long of a period of time. And the ebbs and flows that are going through Nutley, we've had a tremendous turnover in single-family homes in the district. So if you look over the past few years, we're talking about hundreds of homes that have been turning over. And they're coming in not planning a family, they're coming in with the family. So we have to support that. As a district, we have to support that. And I know to have a sustainable community, number one, we have to have a good school district. If we're going to be sustainable, we have to have a good school district. And everything, all the work that we've done, the efforts of the teachers, the efforts that the board has done, the change in curriculum, everything that we've done to bring us to now, the outcome is we've been doing such a good job that people are coming. And they're coming with their families. They're not planning a family here, they're bringing them. And that's not a bad thing, but we need to prepare ourselves for that, and this is what this is about. Because if we don't prepare now in a proactive position, the outcomes are not good, and we've talked about that. Next year, the year after, more modules, and we're going to continue to be reactive. We're going to throw money and useless money, and we're putting it out there to just try to sustain something that we knew 2 years prior was here. So when I talk to everyone, we have to be mindful of that. I get it, the community, there's other things going around us. There really is. What happens with Roche, what's happening with the development. For us as a board, it's not a control. It's just not. So on our end, we almost have to make sure that we're doing our part correctly because we want to make sure that we can absorb what's going to happen down the road.
I just have a question about actually how it's going to be while the construction is going on. I mean, with the trailers, it was supposed to take place over a certain period of time. They weren't actually ready until, I don't know, almost October. So things, you know, we're still going to have the sixth grade here while all of this construction is going on. And then you're going to be putting a structure next to, you know, that area that has adjacent classrooms to the new building. How is that going to affect the students while the construction is going on? And in the sixth grade, it hasn't been moved yet. You know what I mean? Then it's going to actually diminish the space even more because there's limited space over on this side. I was just trying to figure out how the logistics of the whole thing, how is that going to work?
Yeah, the architect's going to kind of walk you through that.
We're going to do that very carefully. The idea is, as I mentioned, in the development plan to look at the construction of how you build things while students and teachers are within the building. The plan is that construction will start it's going to be a 2-year process for the entire district throughout. We want to capture the first summer after the drawings are done and bidding. During that first summer, when the building is less occupied or not occupied, to move certain students into certain areas, we would do the major work, the foundations, the steel, and the access, and utility connections. Then basically the area gets fenced off and all the work gets consolidated to one area. Right? The contractors will be limited to where they have access to the site, where they can have access within the building and around the building, and at different hours. So it's you will see it, you will hear it. Right? A lot of the work will be happening after hours, and there will be work being done during the day. So one of the things we try to do, and we've done very successfully in the past, and the safety of the students and the occupants are the top priority in all the efforts during construction. The contractor knows that, everybody else knows that. In terms of the interference and the noise, we work very carefully, and the contractors work very carefully with the administration. Any testing, any certain activities, they suspend certain work during those periods that are identified. In terms of the safety, all the contractors go through screening. They have identification badges. These are small things, but they all add up. So we look at how the site is secured on the documents, where they can construct, when they can construct, and then it's going to go over that period, and then the final length or the connections will be done on the final summer where the students are at the building. The trailers right now, the one trailer during that first summer, there's cost to relocate that trailer and then being built based on the studies that we did and where it's going to be located. So it's accommodated in the overall cost.
Just adding to that, will they be, because we need another classroom for next year, will you be adding another trailer?
No, there's no plans to add another trailer.
So where do we house another fifth grade next year?
We can't snap our fingers and all.
No, I understand that, but I'm just asking because it's coming up. So where would that other classroom that would probably be somebody else's? Where would that be next year? You don't have a teacher's room anymore. I'm sorry.
Dr. Glazer went to get okay. We're gonna write it down. We were looking for Doug Johnson, but we're not sure where he is.
Blair Village, 150 Ridge Road. Is there any plan to do any type of additional capital campaign beyond the bond, reaching out to alumni, reaching out to people like Martha Stewart, who could sponsor the media center in the high school, alleviate additional costs, and build a multi-purpose room in Washington?
I think it's a wonderful idea, and we can definitely, as a board, talk about that. We can definitely.
I think Charlie was a classmate of hers.
So we have talked about that. We have a lot of resources in town and a lot of alumni, not just Martha Stewart. But the thing is, we can't count on that. I think, we've been very fortunate with the resurgence of the Educational Foundation and a lot of clubs. But when we are bringing this forward to the community, we have to bring it forward as a whole program. We're fortunate, as Karen said, that we don't need to bond all at once, and if we can offset, that would be a wonderful opportunity.
And last thing, instead of waiting for groups to reach out to you, I hope that the Board of Education is reaching out to groups so that we can get influences behind the plan, whatever the revised plan is, and get it passed and get our students moving towards the future.
We have been. Thank you very much. There's just a lot of groups that we don't have access to.
Hi, my name is Jude Martin. I have a son who's a new student here. And I have to say, I'm a little bit disappointed and shocked by what the parents and their comments about the school, because when I moved here, I have to say that it came very well recommended. And I just did not expect this, and I came here rushing here from work. I know a lot of parents work and they probably can't get to these meetings, but this is very important. But I'm here, and all the parents are here, and we're willing to do anything for our kids and give them a better future. So tell us what you need. Yeah, maybe Martha Stewart is not within our reach, but you know what? We have a lot of people here who are professionals, and we're very good with our social media. Tell us what you need, and we will get it for you. Okay? It's a partnership. You can't do it alone.
Thank you so much for saying so. We appreciate that. At this point in the process, right now, what we really need is this understanding and input. And after the board comes back and we can refine plans and make a decision if we're moving forward with the referendum, then we will meet all of you. And believe me, we will be reaching out to all of you. So thank you so very much. Thank you so very much.
Yes, hi. My name is Pamela, and I'm trying to understand what you presented here tonight, and as the last person said, I'm very disappointed when I look at the plans because my kids do attend Washington School, and I know how difficult it is, the situation here. So my question is the same curriculum apply to every single school? Does every kid has the right to have the same curriculum? And so how come we are only getting 5 million out of the total budget and we're not getting what other schools are getting, what means the curriculum and other kids are going to have a better, you know what I mean? They're definitely going to get something better, even if it is the same curriculum, because the conditions are totally, completely different. So we cannot expect the same results over here when we're going to be still suffering and dealing with the same issues that we already have.
Thank you. I would love to help you with it. So actually, when curriculum is written by grade level and content area and subject, it is adopted for that grade level subject and content. So all of the teachers have the same curriculum, instruction, assessment guidelines for their grade level, and those standards tell us what skills a child needs to accomplish by the end of that grade level. So that's the same district-wide. Right? That doesn't change. When the district adopts resources and materials to support that curriculum, that's done for everybody, the same. There's no difference. So there's no difference in the books or resources, materials, curriculum, whatever that the children here in Washington receive versus any other school in the district. And I think Mr. Jones would be the first one to tell you, when you look at the outcomes, what your teachers are doing with students, what the outcomes show on the benchmark testing, the standardized testing. Washington's doing a wonderful job. Your children are not at a disadvantage. So when you look at that and say, why are we getting 5 million or whatever, this is just about space utilization, overcrowding, and addition. This is not curriculum, delivery of instruction. You have some of the finest people delivering instruction in the state, let alone in your community. So the disparity that you're seeing, I think we need to do a better job maybe of helping understand what it is that we're presenting.
Hi, my name is Dr. Donna Conqueror. I own the property at 299 Franklin Avenue, which is 2 buildings down from the bike shop building. So my question is regarding the middle school. And the plan that you showed, actually it's a nice plan. What I didn't see on there was any parking. So you're going to have all the 6th grade come to that school. So that means there's going to be more faculty. And then approximately how many children will be at that school? Are there any provisions for pickup or drop-off lane? It's a very congested area between the middle school letting out and the high school. And it's not safe. And so I didn't see anything about parking.
Parking is definitely one of the things that is going to be kind of adapting with this project. And mainly because, as we all know, we have very, very tight areas for cars. We know that. Even now in the situation that we're in, we have parking. We're going to try to work with the Board of Commissioners. We're going to try to see how we can address those parking concerns. But this has been an ongoing conversation as we've been developing this bill. You know, we're constantly looking to see if there's another space that might we're gonna have to work through that. I think that that's one of the things we're gonna have to do.
Well, I think that if the structure of the building, I think that you really need to consider the parking, because it is a big issue right now. Currently, I have continuous people parking in my parking lot during my patient office hours. I get phone calls from my tenants. Don't have parking in the evening if you have an event going on at the school. You know, so if you're gonna build the property, I am in no way against school expansion. I think it's a wonderful thing, really. But along with the school expansion, you have to think of these things. It's important. When you parents come to an event for the school, for the children, where are they gonna park? Where's your staff gonna park? I had 2 substitute teachers approach me this week to ask me if they can park in my parking lot. Now, there's 2 other buildings there. One of the other owners was not able to be here. He's got the same.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm.
Oh, there you go.
And we appreciate that. That was another thing that did come up in the other forums, the parking situation, how we will address that. And, you know, we have the solid perfect answer for that, but we don't at this time. We're still working through that process. And like I said, we're going to use every resource possible to navigate the challenge of parking until we can hopefully, you know, same thing with the bike shop. That was never on the radar. And, you know, through the progress that we've made trying to identify different things that we can do, it became a diamond in the rough. And when that became available, we immediately took that opportunity. And, you know, I'm hopeful that as we're walking through these challenges of even the parking solutions, which again, even if we're successful with the referendums, we're still about 2 years out, right? When we're successful. We're about 2 years out from the completion at the middle school. So we still have some time there to figure that parking challenge out. And I'm confident that with this board and with the commissioners and with this community, we will continue to find a way to address that solution.
Okay, I have another question regarding construction. Might be soon, but with our businesses there, and I know Bill and I had his husband and I spoke this morning about it. How is that going to affect our businesses? Currently, you're utilizing my driveway as an easement to access that bike shop. Is that what's going to happen during construction?
The new property would not include the back parking to access the site. It would come off of Franklin Ave. The whole area would be fenced off and kind of sealed off where the major construction would go on. There would be determination as to where contractors park. The district board would be with the town. In many cases where the site construction, contractors park in a designated area within the town and they get shuttled to the site. So there wouldn't be any parking on basic streets or anything else. And heavy equipment would be kind of consolidated within construction.
When you say they're going to enter through Franklin Avenue, where on Franklin Avenue? The existing driveway that's between the bike shop and PS Optical?
No, that ultimately that whole section, like I saw on the site, will be off. The bike shop is going all the way back.
Okay, so there's going to be the.
The existing property line is approximately here. With the drive, you can see the driveway that comes in right now. This is the extent to this line of the property that would be taken. So the new addition would come here. The existing driveway is going up through the back to the side of the school here, right up against the existing. Another service lane that would be here. So we don't have to access, even though there's an easement here, we're not accessing it from here. We would access it.
I wouldn't let you.
I'm
sorry.
I'm saying, we had no plans on that. This line, you can kind of see it paint here. This is the new property line. In line with this parking area, comes straight down. So that would be fenced off, and access would be here and also from the rear, and it would build out.
Okay, and my other question is, and this will be addressed to you. Has there been any provisions made for a pickup and drop-off lane for the parents. Because currently, at 7:30 in the morning, 7:45, you can't come down Church Street. At 2:30, at 2:45, you cannot come down Church Street or Franklin Avenue. Creates a gridlock, so you're going to be adding more students there.
Down Church
Down Church Street. So between Franklin and Church Street, it's difficult. Anybody who's ever gone down Franklin Avenue, it's a nightmare. And so, I would like to see, as a property owner, a business owner, within walking distance, I would like to see a designated drop-off and pickup. For the safety of the kids, because currently, and some of the board members may know, currently they come through the parking lot, drive all the way through, and it's really, I mean, I have security cameras, you can sit here all day and see it. I already had somebody crash into the building, and so they were lucky because some of the kids sit on the back steps and have breakfast. And so they were very lucky there was nobody sitting back there. I have one more question regarding taxes. So you mentioned the average homeowner taxes, the assessed value. There was no mention of commercial. So what is this going to mean to the commercial property owners? Because we seem to be getting hit with most taxes. Nobody calculated that. That's important.
Well, when we're looking at the assessed value, that's where we're getting those target numbers from. But that's something we can definitely
I
get
would like to see that, and I'm sure some of the other commercial property owners in town would like to see that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is as far as the overcrowding in the classroom, there's resources, OTBC, and that share classrooms now. How is 6 classrooms going to fix those issues with the teachers? I'm sorry? But there's 4 outside, so how is that 10? There's 4 classrooms outside. So it's 6 classrooms is what you showed us, so how is that fixing the problem of all those teachers that have to share classrooms every single day, barely having space? And, you know, the kids who need extra help are being jammed into small closets. How is that problem being solved?
Forget the microphone, sorry. The demographer, one of the things he does and works with Mr. Jones is goes through that space utilization. That's how we know that every space is being used and it's at capacity. So that's part of that process, is looking at those capacity spaces and moving things, finding spaces that are educationally appropriate and determined to be the correct size for education. And those are the things that are not happening now.
I'm just curious, how much do the principals and the teachers have to do with this process? Or is it just, with all due respect, I understand that you know the numbers, but are they involved?
Yes.
Are they asked?
Yes, all the way.
Okay.
With the demographer, as soon as we got the concept plans, all the way.
The last thing is with the multi-purpose room. My daughter's in kindergarten, and once a week, and every grade level has there's 45 children in the gym at one time. I know the numbers are large, but 45 children in that small gym is ridiculous. I don't think it's safe. I think it's too many kids to enjoy gym class. We know that they have to have gym and they should be able to enjoy it. So I just want to know if there's any plan to fix that problem, because that's an awful lot of children. I'm a teacher as well. That's an awful lot of children in the students.
That's Gloria, and thank you.
I have to speak to Mom.
Okay, thank you.
What the architect showed as a new property line seems to be going through the center of my building. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, apparently we just became partners.
Got one? Okay, come on down.
If you could just tell me, there will be 6 classrooms built in the new addition, is that correct? And I heard 10, is that, yeah, all of it?
Six classrooms, are having 6th graders move out.
The 6th graders are right now outside in the modules, so that's not going to be classrooms in our building existing now.
Fewer students, 6 additional classrooms.
I understand that would make more space in your lunchroom facility, that many students now not, but. Okay, so six classrooms. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Everybody, you got a question?
Hi, Joanne Kilblock. I have a son who attends 2nd grade here and a daughter who attends 1st grade. And I just want to say I'm so thrilled that you all have taken the time to come out and talk to us and allow us the opportunity to engage in a dialogue with you. I just ask one thing of you all, and Dr. Glazer, you made this comment earlier this evening that you view our Nutley School District holistically, and that is your view. And I ask and urge all of you to view our students and our teachers holistically as you work through these plans. I think one thing that has come out of tonight's discussion is that there's a little bit more work to be done with regard to these plans. And I urge you, as you go back and review these plans, that you please take into consideration all of the comments that you've heard this evening and think about our students holistically and consider all of their needs as you work through this issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Darren Scarafola. I'm a taxpayer in town and a phys ed teacher here. And I just want to stress the need for a larger gym, multi-purpose room, because there are 45 plus kids in the gym 20 times a week, and there is no other school in this district that has that many kids in an elementary school, and I don't think it's fair that we are getting the short end of the deal on this.
Any other questions?
My 5th grade classroom question that I had presented before, as far as next year, where is our other classrooms going to go?
Currently, we have currently we have 3 5th grade sections, 76 students. That would then transpose into 3 6th grade classrooms, reducing 6th grade by 1.
And if we have a situation like we had this year, where we had added for 6th grade, then I'm just,
we face that challenge obviously when, like we did this year, and make that adjustment if could it happen? Absolutely could happen, as it did this year. If we increase another 8 to 10 students from grade 5 to grade 6 by next September, we would need a 4th section of 6th grade.
Are you prepared, is the board prepared to, fund-wise, to be able to?
The same way we were this year, we added a section, we added a section here. There are no additional classrooms, that's why that piece from Doug was important for me, Mr. Jones, because I don't know the enrollment, we need to know how that shifts. And believe it or not, that's the issue we have with the waivers as well. You know, I already but our demographer did take all of our rules, every single student, every single address. There were, I believe, a certain number that were not, 20-something, that were not able to be identified, and we went to every single residence to verify. Every residence, and there were students that were disenrolled based on that process, and that happened in September.
And I just wanted to answer that. I think some of you probably still remember that we did the re-registration process a few years ago. And all of that data was put onto an electronic system. And one of the things that we're going to continue to do is to just pick out different grade levels each year to just continue to make sure that we're always charting that, making sure that we're checking those numbers, making sure those enrollments are correct, and we have the right populations here. But as Dr. Glazer was saying, when the demographer did do that report, we did match them up. And, we had a little screen with all of those dots, and we went through all the addresses, and, we identified and made sure that that was not a concern very early on. And I can tell you that I was one of the ones on the board, or one of the board members that really pushed to identify before we started talking about expansion that all of our kids belong here. Because that's responsible. We have to make sure. And the numbers even then were not, there were a few here and there, but there were not a number that was staggering, and we were sitting here saying, oh my God, all we need to do is just clean out our schools and we'll be fine. That's, the number's never that high, but being responsible, we need to make sure that we're educating our kids, and that the tax dollar is going to our kids, because we're making the commitment. We're looking for the outcomes here in Nutley, and we should make sure that those others that are, and everyone is in here for the same purpose. So, and I just want you to know that us as a board, we monitor that, and that's something that we put in place to make sure that the system and the process gets easier now. Because it took a long time to get that set up. So, any other questions?
Just a quick one. The recurring theme seems to be,
come on, join the party. Come up for fun.
Okay, my name is Al. Kids, my son is 8, he attends Washington, and he's going to get my daughter, who I hope to attend Washington. So the recurring theme that I'm hearing is that they have a spike in the population growth of the town that obviously is growing faster than the support of the school system. So what do we feel, do we do any kind of metrics on the numbers as to, what seems to be the root of the population growth? And is there any way we can address it to keep it in pace with the growth of the school system? Because we're adding these expansions to capacity. But who's to say in 5 years we're not revisiting the same thing? Because we haven't addressed the root of the population growth that might be higher than the average growth of the town. So what can we do to address that one?
What we're doing, I think we're doing the right thing as a board to prepare the buildings for the students. When we look at all of the variables that bring additional students in, it starts from the time, even going back to our start to full day kindergarten. When we introduced that kind of created an influx of parents coming in. Then we have the high turnover of homes. Okay, in Nutley, and I know one of the board members have a calculation, was it
97 homes sold for under $400,000 in the time of Nutley last year. Overall, 237 homes were sold in the time of Nutley, one-family homes.
So when we look at those numbers, and I know sometimes people say it's the development, it's the apartment buildings, it's all of these things, and maybe there is some truth in that, but we're seeing the bigger staggering numbers coming from the turnovers of one-family homes. And, at one point, somewhere in history, and it was before my time in Nutley, there was talks about the fact that there was 8,000 kids in our school district. And, they figured out ways to split sessions and, much more people that were much more students in the classroom. So at some point, in a population that was less dynamic than it is now, we had more students here. Now, I don't foresee us having 8,000 students, but that was definitely the rest of my hair if I was still on the board. We have to address double the amount of students that we have. But there are a lot of reasons that are causing those numbers to drive up, and what we're seeing now is the majority of the turnover of one-family homes in the district
individual families and homes and children in the homes. And it is a formula that's been used in community after community to make these projections over time. 5 years with really clear accuracy and 10 years out with less accuracy. So it's based on that report, based on he's reported to the community several times and has gone back out several times to meet with the commissioners, to meet with, developers and that kind of thing. His projection is that what we're doing solves the problem for 15 to 20 years. And again, because we're proactive, that's where the architects are planning spaces that are still with options to add on.
The apartment building complexes that are being built compared to the homeowners' tax dollars, how does that work? What's the ratio there that's actually getting allocated to the school system as opposed to the
That's an
homeowners?
answer I don't have, one that we'd have to write down and add to our frequently asked questions.
Because,
But we will.
I'm so surprised that we're building more apartment complexes. And how does that coincide with the taxes, property taxes that the homeowners are paying $180 1 year, and the 5th year is probably up to $1,000 over 5 years. So I think you got to look at that.
No, we'll absolutely look and ask the frequently asked questions.
That's where the spike in the population is coming from, at least in my estimate.
Not according to the demography. But we appreciate that. Our videographer is asking us to please take a breath for a minute. They need to change the batteries. Freeze. It'll be the best mannequin challenge. All right, you're back online. Thank you. You have another comment, sir? All right, then I'm going to please ask you to come back together. We have another question ready.
I'm sorry to be up here again. I forgot that there was something that came up.
That's okay.
And, I appreciate the whole, I understand it's been a lot of work over several years, a lot of considerations you guys have been, anyway. How, I was trying to understand between all of the things they have to prioritize, why was it determined that, I hate to, doing this most embarrassing thing, but you can't help but see it. Why was it determined that they needed a full kitchen as opposed to other things that might be more important? And, I also noticed that, with the removal of the trailers, there's going to be a play area, they need a playground.
No, we're moving the playground that's existing from one side to the other.
Okay, okay.
Same.
Outside the area. Yeah, okay. So I only sound like a nerd and we're comparing and whatever, but with the kitchen, I just didn't understand how that can. Thanks.
The kitchen area that is included there was done for a couple of reasons. And within the cost estimate, it doesn't include the equipment for the kitchen, because we will be using our cafeteria fund for that equipment. But that kitchen space will help to ease the burden. Right now, all the cooking for the high school and the 5 elementary is done at the high school every day. So in order to give some relief, we decided to put an additional kitchen where we had some space. And that kitchen will serve the Angela School and possibly spring lunch, which would then ease the burden and help prepare the food that's coming here to Washington and the other 2 schools later in the day, so the food is coming fresher to the students here. That's the reason for the kitchen. It was only because that was the place where we had to do it. Right. You're welcome.
I just want to clarify too, because we just didn't.
Can you listen to the answers, please?
I just want to clarify too, we just didn't add the to the answer call. We eliminated the existing multipurpose room and rebuilt the multipurpose.
Can you rebuild this one too?
I'll be brief. But what was Yansco's response to their allotment, and what kind of issues did they have? How many line items, or just looking for something overall? Were they satisfied with what
the proportions then?
So I'm so sorry, this is our third night.
Everybody else?
This is our third town hall and fifth meeting. So maybe you can. I don't know that I can delineate what happened, but each night has been videotaped, and each night that's on YouTube, it's been, I'm so sorry that I know that I can't tell you which school is which. Somebody else can.
The Edinburgh school, they didn't want a multi-purpose room, they wanted a separate cafeteria and a gym. And we had to tell them only getting one. So even though you're not getting one, they wanted the way it was designed to be. No, just do this, right?
We need one.
We do.
I was there on the end of the I have a parent. That's okay. My name's Molly. And I came here specifically because I wanted to hear what y'all had to say. And I'm very intrigued at your feedback. And I mean, am I 100% happy with everything that we've done? No. I'm mortified at what you've gotten, but at the same time, I don't know everything that they've been dealing with. I do think that there's work to be done. And at the end of the day, are we all going to be happy with 150% of what goes on? I don't think so. I don't think you keep up with the growth rate and everything going on. But that's just my opinion. So I'm here. I just wanted to come in here and talk to you as well.
But then in general, like, what is most feedback that most of the negative so far? I would say mostly positive in our public meetings.
Yeah, because I think that, when we're identifying those needs, we're going through each of the things that we've done in each of the schools. Again, these are conceptual. We're definitely listening. Part of this is the communication. And as a team, we're going to go back and we're going to discuss all the feedback that we've gotten throughout the district, all of the impacts of all the schools, and then try to refine what we hope is going to better address some of the concerns that maybe we didn't pay as much attention to or identify, realize that maybe it's not what we can reasonably put forward to do. But again, this is a conceptual design. Our goal again is to get this feedback. We have Karen right behind you guys writing these things down. And again, we're going to come back together as a board as we get through these forums. And we're going to take the opportunity to digest a lot of the information that you guys have brought to us. And it's Washington, it's Yannick, it's a community. And so I don't think that any of us on this board want to just say that, well, thank you for your opinion, but we're not doing anything. It's the reality is that we're going to sit back down as a team. And if it takes us a little bit more time, we're going to try to refine it so that we can get the entire community behind us. That's the goal. And, again, our approach was to do this, get it out, get some feedback, and let's see what happens and what we can do to refine it and make it better. So I hope that you guys will continue to give us the time that we need and allow us that opportunity to have those continued conversations to see how we can make this better, different, and we'll see what we come back with.
Just a quick question. When the demographer does the report, do they account for, like, when they have one-bedroom apartment complexes, do they account for children projected to come into those? Yes. They do, because I know that when we sat here originally, before East Center Street was built, and then once it was built, we were told that 6 children came out of it, and then we counted in our director, we had 48 that actually came out of it.
So again, his formula is using actual children with actual addresses, and I just want to repeat again, we had to take the report down earlier this evening because there's footprints in it, but we'll put it back up. And one of the slides are these, you won't be able to see it very well on the screen, but it's a dot for every child. And he has counted for every child. And
I'm just wondering if
there's
there's
a
a
formula,
future
right, and then there's a formula for
accounted for, because I know in typical situations, the one-bedroom apartment doesn't normally hold a family, so I just want to know if the future things. And also, what can we do as parents and as maybe even the board itself to stop the building of the apartment buildings? Like, have commissioners come to these meetings? Because I really
The members, the list, you should try to see it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on,
that was a service driveway. And so, would that be also a fire lane?
There's an access for emergency vehicles there on the top and the bottom.
From the top, where are they?
Well, off the road from the top, to service that, and from the front of the building.
And so there would be no cars parked?
Right, there's no cars. There's no specific requirement to have a loop road around the building, based on the construction classification, and the fire rating of the building.
But there is a specific width for any type of fire lane or any type of,
Right.
for emergency vehicle
We
access,
have
correct?
30 feet from the edge of the building to the property.
Again, and I apologize, introduced myself before.
Don't apologize, good stuff.
And I do work here in the building, and I have to tell you, it's just a wonderful place to work. The camaraderie among the teachers and the love for the students and the interaction with parents is just so warm and loving. It truly is a wonderful place to work. And I thank you for all that you've done presenting this to us. I have to say, I was here 6 years, I've been in another school in town, and this building has grown in my 6 years tremendously, by about 100 or more students. I found, we did lose the teacher's room, and the teacher's room was also used for the students. There was a cooking club and a lot of activities for students here, just take them out to, let's say, the pumpkin pie at Halloween and Thanksgiving. So that was lost, not only for the teachers, but for the students. And another consideration that I'd like you to please consider is use of toilets for teachers. There are very few toilets. We lost that in our teachers' room. There was a bathroom. There's certainly one in the nurse's office that any teachers could use. And there's only two. One in the main office, and then there's two in what is now our teachers' room, all purpose.
So you have to, Mr. Jones advocated for you for that, sir. Joe's gonna show you.
Here's a typical plan. What we have is we have toilets in the classroom, and we also have a toilet on the outside that would be accessible to the car that would be bathroom toilets.
And there will be one for one per floor? That's right. And I thought I heard you say that with the building of this, you might be encroaching on some of the existing classrooms, or did I misunderstand that?
On the trail. The trailer on this location has to be relocated.
Well, I was assuming that would be moved.
Ultimately,
Right. But this construction will not be impinging upon existing classrooms in this
because of